Hey, Adam.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi,
Can you hear
how
me?
are you? I can
I'm
hear
good,
you.
thanks.
Can you hear me?
I can. All
Okay.
right.
You know, this is something, it was the thought. It was for the purpose of putting this. Yeah, but man, it's study. You need to move, you need to meet. We do, and then we don't do any of them. We done. I thought. I'm just trying to like. That's an interactive process on and I would be able to put them up on the.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
You need some bad habits again, you know, whatever. Then instead of just going, oh, you know, I need negative. What I'll do is get all the bad investment. There is a fan, you think it's such a, it's. You know, and we did, we outranked all of the system and running. That's a crazy day. The difference. Every time I breathe, there's like all people are very focused. I don't know where that 12 the hour is slow. How much and today was heck constant.
No.
Dude.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. I won't get started. Well, Adam and Charlie were thinking, well, this is one piece that might. It's one piece.
Are we watching television?
And if we.
In a minute. Oh, boom.
That's how you set the bag. So that's why I'm meeting that deal, which you have folks that I'm suggesting. I think it's the same.
That is a distraction, but.
Oh.
Oh, that's okay. You know what I knew was you.
Not at all.
Again, I was like,
Not at all, huh?
Well, you were.
No
one in the corner.
No, it's currently being on my left.
About. What do you think? Yeah. I didn't read. I just got the table of contents.
Well, I know him very well.
I'm sure you do. So I think.
Oh, sure. That's my plan of making friends.
It's working well. I call it.
There are a lot of people here. It is good.
I'm supposed to go get something. Okay, would you like your?
Sure.
People are doing anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Diane.
Well, when is it?
Yeah, but like it's gonna, we're gonna hope we all like.
And do you know how I tell where background noise is coming from?
We did our best.
Right. Well, looks like that 19 rules, which is.
Okay. Hey, Tom, would you mute yourself? I'm getting a lot of background noise from you.
Beginning of deer season.
Yeah, I was out.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
for them, it's what's-
Yeah.
It will participate.
I know. By their daily. Well, when the days get this short and it's all Thanksgiving.
Kim, do
Have you ever seen?
Like, we were done.
Have I ever seen snow?
And most of our.
Herbs to Joya, you. Okay,
I know, it's strange though that they're.
I think I've got everybody, Shannon.
I still fell on.
Yeah, it was so dry this year. Usually most of the trees don't do leaves, so.
The red maples are red. So when you say.
There's Alex. Joya, you know we're gonna do the economic development section first, right?
Yeah.
We were in a position where.
I think I'm ready when you are.
Are we gonna be able to put them up so that we can see?
Research.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Didn't have much time from
what's going on?
Was really. Over time.
Nice to do, is I got a mountain of people
And then that kind of.
process right now,
Initiate.
What do you do? A lot of.
health insurance. Well, right
There
now,
we go.
There we go.
I do retirement plan.
And I got around, I
A big
Over
plan
the
is
year,
not
it's
the law, right? And
think.
like,
Yeah.
Stored
Yes. Well,
for a long time.
this is.
That's why I'm gonna go to, well, we're going to have all of our big plans done in December. A draft of it all. We'll adopt it until July and we'll hold public hearings. You don't need to worry about that. I'm covering that.
For a lot of people.
Yeah.
it was affordable.
Okay, folks, And I wanna work with people who have done.
It
it being 7:03 PM, I'm going to call the meeting of the Addison County Regional Planning Commission to order. Our first order of business is comments on the economic development section of the regional plan. And so Joya is here to walk us through that. I turn it over to you, Joya. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you all for being here. I mean, this is great to have this many eyes on these documents. It's so important and vital for our community. I just want to be really clear that this copy of the economic development strategy you have in front of you and that you read is work that's been largely carried out by Addison County Economic Development Council, the work of Alex Armani-Metmun and Neil Lyons. And we owe them a big thank you because they did the heavy lifting on this and pushing. As Addison County Economic Development Council is an independent member-supported organization. We are one member. Their constituent base is different than Addison County Regional Planning Commission. So as we engage in this important community process, reviewing this draft and making suggestions to fold into the kind of final copy and collaborating to see a vision for the future, our economic development plan is going to be drafted as part of our larger plan, which is all about strategic planning in Addison County in the bigger sense. So this will be one part of that. So reviewing here tonight, I'm really looking for comments, along with others. We still have an online button that you can push and an online comment section. If any of the people from the public are here, please do that. You haven't been getting all the emails we have. So we're here to review that, and I'm gonna split the document into three parts for separate comment. Pages 1 through 16, existing conditions is where we'll start. Go to pages 17, 19, which is the vision, the pillars and the overview. Then pages 20 to 27 with the individual goals and objectives. So it's been funny. I've been hearing a lot these days, people say, I don't know anything about economic development. We live it. Now, how many people in this room may have said something like that recently? I've had people say that to me recently. And it's really interesting because, you know, we think we go along with, oh, that's the heady stuff. You need to have an economics degree. We all live as the products of economic development where we grew up, some better, some worse. We do know it. So returning to the mission here is, I usually start with the background and research why we're here and, you know, why Regional Planning Commission is here trying to make this document be a part of what is normally not necessarily conflated with or joined with economic development, but it really is very important. Now, excuse me, sorry. I wanted to read you something that I looked up. So there is a document called Facilitating Economic Development. It is part of the towns and villages work that Addison County Regional Planning has done in the past and will do in the future. And I'm just going to read you what it says that economic development is. Economic development is sustained actions of policymakers and communities that promote the standard of living and economic health of a community, in addition to economic growth. Okay, so that it is the whole kit and caboodle. And guess what? We are the policymakers. So what do? We assess the community for the assets, the problems, opportunities, which we do in this document. We ID prime places for redevelopment, development protection, for access. We also work with support loan funds and other investment tools to help businesses. But we also have to frame what we want our community to look like. We want it to be, I think, healthy, vibrant, safe. And then we get into the societal benefits and we get into who gets to share in these. And I think it depends on economic resiliency, and some might say the existence of a more equitable standard of living. But this is where it gets sticky, because what are our privileges and our rights? Clean air and water? Is that a right? Education? We start slipping down a slope, and that is when we find it a privilege to pay our taxes on our house, because we have the means. It is. It's a privilege to pay those taxes. The alternative doesn't feel very good. My mother used to tell me about growing up in the feudal age when the unwanted were put out by the edge of the forest for the wolves. No, not really, okay? We have made it a little bit beyond that, okay? So where do we want to be in an age where companies can replace many of our jobs with AI, when healthcare may be out of reach and out of county for us? How does the balance of the economic health of our community stack up? How do we stick together and support those around us? Businesses, towns, individuals, communities. Where does social cohesion versus fracturing help and hurt all of us in the economy? So I know that's a lot to take on a usually, quiet Wednesday evening, but that's what we're about to get into. So how can we support a robust society by referring back to that document again, sustained actions, which is what we're looking for at the end of this process, actions that we can do. So the first part that we'll look at is existing conditions, the demographics in the workforce. We're 37,000 people, say pretty stable. It's a low density of people for Vermont. And it might be referenced that, we have problematic soils, which, we have an aging population. Could you put those up?
Do you want me, pull
Yeah,
up
and
the
then we
section
can
of the plan?
Roll through it together and
Sure.
we figure out how to do the 2 pages. Because I'm hoping, who knows how long people read this ago. So just to jog everybody's memory as I go through this, that I'm working through the document itself.
Sure.
And am I speaking too fast?
Oh, but I did like your opening graphs on page 1. That's the wake-up call.
Okay, can everybody see that? The table of contents?
Great, and you can just go right down to, and then if you get it up to a page, so people can,
I can't get it
yeah, I
up to
can't
two
do
to a
this.
page.
High tech stuff, right? Anyway, we can scroll through this. So,
And let's see, Rich, you have a question. Okay, there you are.
Yeah, my question is, I'm guessing that the purple is female, the green is male, but I couldn't find any indication of that in the text.
I think that's a good guess, but we'll figure out that and make sure that works for the chart. So that's a
Okay.
good comment.
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you. Okay, so where was I? The demographics and workforce. So going through this aging population, the racial diversity has shifted upward, but we're still pretty homogeneous. Education, like in Lake Wobegon, all the children are above average. But we do have problems with schools shutting and also underutilized career center, big time. Income, we're doing well, but we can always do better. Then this next section I refer to as our community challenges part, to providing a robust group of people to hire for the businesses in the community. There are numerous ways people are disenfranchised, and that's sort of what this next section deals with. It deals with pay gaps, which are healthy and persistent. We are the worst county in the state for equal pay, but look better when compared to Alabama. Median household income data by race is unreliable due to small sampling sizes. The poverty rate is described as good, yet 34% of us aren't really doing that great. Homelessness and substance misuse, disability, health, when it's good, it's fine. When our health is bad, it's not really fine. All of these, as you guessed, are not really contributing well to the state of the economy because disenfranchised people can't work well.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Under the pay cap,
Pay caps,
pay gaps.
pay gaps, yep.
Is that appropriate now?
Yeah, well, I'm sure we can do it now. We can wait to the end. But
No, that's fine.
you're
We can
started.
wait. No, I was just looking at the huge preponderance.
Mhm.
There's basically, you've got a huge amount of land mass in Addison County that's dominated by agriculture that provides virtually nothing to the workforce. And yet, according to this, most of the jobs are in registered nurses, social and human service assistants, retail sales. If I'm reading I'm looking at the occupations.
Right,
going
that are-
back
yep.
To the income disparity and seeing that a lot of those jobs are dominated by jobs that are often dominated by women, which is gonna throw it off a lot.
Yeah, that is one way of looking at it. I think that you can always dig down and find, I have not researched, I've not dug down into the data.
Looking at this, what the list here in occupations,
Page 9.
yeah, page 9. Which would reflect all the retirees and aging population seeking services.
I'm sorry, I'm not following where the pay gap goes with the.
Okay, let's continue with it and we can talk about that.
Okay,
You know, one thing to take note in some of these sections is we're looking at a particular data point and drawing incredible conclusions. So this one won't make me very popular in some conversations, but education. We look at education and say, we've got one of the highest graduation rates in the state and one of the highest graduation rates in the country. Therefore, we have a great education system. And when you look at other data points, it tells a very different story.
Right.
When you look at proficiency at 3rd and 6th and 8th grade levels, we're seeing in most schools, 60% of our kids or 40% of our kids are below grade level in key areas. So it's the story we tell ourselves. Look, our graduation rates are good, therefore our schools are good. And look, I know the schools have incredible challenges, and I'm not doing any finger pointing here, but we have to change the narrative and not just look at one data point and say, aha, we're okay there. Next, where are we bad?
well, and that's, when we get, I think that's where we have to, what I hope the discussion will be opened up to is this right? But I'm gonna get there.
Can I ask
So-
a question of just clarification? and it's probably just because I'm not sure I understand how it's worded, but under, homelessness and substance abuse, it's on page 5. What is 78 people in 59 households, experiencing homelessness? What is,
So every year, basically, some of the housing agencies in Addison County do a count. Basically, and it's called a point in time count, and it is a point in time count. So it's the best data we have available for that
I guess it's 78 people or?
in 59 households. So if you and your
That
household,
means
so
people like a
Unit.
mother,
So
daughter.
If it's me, my wife and my child, that would be
Okay,
one household, 3 people.
gotcha. So it's really a family unit. And that's what households means, is a family unit. Okay.
Or an apartment.
Well,
So.
Yeah, I know, but
Using-
that's
Maybe
my
it's-
point. It's single people which are affected by this from recent high school graduates who sleep with different friends and other things like that.
Yeah, I was just like, I just didn't know the definition of households, because I thought that meant there was a house involved.
Yeah,
So,
right,
okay.
no, I see where you
Family
went.
unit, okay.
Do you think we could just go through this
Yeah.
and
Sorry.
then get to the end and then really open it up and dive in? Only because, I mean, I can end here, but
No, go ahead.
Should I?
Go, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So economy, our GDP, I thought that was interesting, matches our population percent within the state. Much of the daily work in the county is taking care of people, meaning working with everyone, bringing people up through the health and human services and education systems. It's 28.44%, so almost 30% of people in Addison County work in those jobs, which could be viewed as that we in Addison County know how to take care of one another. I like to think that. Followed by manufacturing, retail, trade, and construction. Those are the super sectors. Commuting, people who work here and don't live here take the money out of the community. That isn't good for us, and it isn't great for employers either. Tax receipts were up 60% between 2020 and 2023, meaning we sold lots more stuff while the same amount of people lived here. And we have one federally designated opportunity zone in Virginia that has not been taken advantage of. Then we get into the infrastructure: housing, childcare, broadband, telecommunications, transportation, municipal water and wastewater treatment, energy, working lands, brownfields, climate resilience. And these last infrastructure categories, Addison County Regional Planning works directly on them or indirectly on them. The earlier categories are also areas where our work matters and affects outcomes because they have a good deal to do with health and well-being. There may be things in the last section here in the infrastructure section as an Addison County Regional Committee member where you see things up close that you have, and personally, you may have specific things that you'd like to talk about, as well as the first two really deal with how we, as our individuals, are the community at large. So which would you like to address? I know we've got some more questions in the room. I'm hoping to hear from some more people online. What do you have a special insight to, or what do you would like to see better represented in this assessment? Or is this stunningly accurate? Go ahead. Yeah.
So I took the opportunity to send comments in writing to the committee that I sit on, which is the Housing Committee, to the members of the Housing Committee. And my comments have to do with the section called homelessness and substance misuse. So in the American lexicon, we frequently put those together as if there is a causal relationship.
I don't need to laugh. I'm not laughing.
Yes. In my experience in almost 60 years of working in this area of affordable housing, homelessness causes substance misuse, not the other way around. And this paragraph implies the reverse. So I'm very concerned that this document would go out with that misunderstanding. I can clear up if anybody wants to know what the point in time count is. The Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development requires it be done all across the country. the biggest weakness of the point in time count is that in most places, and I know in Vermont this is the case, the agencies count the people who come to them for services. In places where I have worked more productively, people go out into the woods, into campgrounds, into all kinds of places with police or without police, and count people that do not access services. So our rate of homelessness in Vermont is probably at least a third or 50% higher than our statistics show, because typically in the week of January that the point in time count is done, people aren't going out to look in the woods and all these places where it's cold and windy and you don't know where they are. So homelessness should be tied first and foremost to the lack of housing. So if you read the section on homelessness and substance misuse, which should be separated, substance misuse should be under health. I know you didn't write this.
So, yeah, no, I didn't. And so this is, I have some serious, like, I also struggle with that whole thing there. So I don't know, is there anybody else? I mean, does this resonate with anybody else as well? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
okay. So
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
wondering whether, yes, okay, great. I was wondering whether, I mean, the societal ills, again, it's a tone thing, it's a perspective thing. And I really wonder whether, I mean, to me, there needs to be a whole long list of things. If I see them as the disenfranchisements, how people get into, and it's on both ends of any spectrum, whether you're homeless, whether you have substance issues, whether you are addicted to porn, whether there are people out there who are really disenfranchised. I mean, and in ways that are, so to me, this homelessness and substance misuse needs to have something. I mean, it's part of, there's so many things that could be in that
Okay,
list that are
If you
things
would
people
let me
struggle with.
finish, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
I'm not done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Apologize.
those two need to be separated from each
Okay.
other, and I would suggest that substance misuse be called substance use disorder, and
Yes.
it be put under health, not under homelessness.
Right under the health.
Yes, as
Action.
well, the primary cause of homelessness is lack of affordable housing. So the homelessness section might be moved in close proximity to the housing section. And in this document, I have looked for what I interpret, having listened to all of you for a year and a half, and people in my town and people in other towns that I have talked to, that the housing crisis is not a state issue. It is a local issue more than anything else, because the local municipalities are in charge of zoning, they're in charge of permits, they're in charge of almost everything except the cost of housing. And this economic development plan doesn't address that. As well.
I'd like to speak to that. When you're done, I'd like to speak to that. This is Jean Montross.
Yeah, but go ahead, Anna.
Well,
Finish your point.
I'm almost finished. As well, when we talk about housing in this plan, if we adopt it the way it is, I don't think that the housing section adequately frames the problem as a local municipal deficiency process.
So
Which I think it is, in terms of process. I just wanted to say to you all that I went to a Chamber of Commerce dinner like 2 weeks ago, where they gave awards for the best of this and the best of that in Addison County. And the speaker was Mike Pichek, our state treasurer, smart guy. And he said he's been going around and listening to people all across the state for 2 years. And he asks people to say what they think are the most pressing problems in this state, or the thing that they are most troubled about. Anybody want to guess what the number one thing is people say? Not if you've read my email.
I know you.
You think it's housing? healthcare, education. It's change. People do not want change. So we love the 1880s, we love the 1800s, and we need to address in this economic development plan what you hear over and over and over from people in business, which is they cannot get people to come here and work in their businesses because there's nowhere for them to live. And it's a local problem, and here we are, we're a planning agency, and it's our obligation to call out what is not working. It's a process issue, and it's at the municipal level, and we are the pitifully armed Regional Planning Commission. We don't have a police force, and we don't have a county government worthy of even the name of the word government. So at least in our plan, we can say what is obviously true, even if it makes people mad. If we're going to have, and the action steps are better than the explanation stating what the problem is. But in my experience, if you don't say what the problem is accurately, you're not going to get past, you're not going to get people to read past the thing. They're going to.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, I mean, I don't know whether it was Fred Kenny who wrote this or the new guy, Alex, who wrote this, or you guys
Alex,
together.
We did it together. So Alex is on the call.
Okay.
And it's a, you know, it's a joint product. And we're putting it up for your comments so we can make it better.
Okay.
And so do you think the housing, so to get back on, you think that the homelessness, and this always goes back to the powers that be but this is, I think, a really important conversation. The homelessness needs to go under housing is what you would like.
Now,
Because
Anna,
homelessness is lack of housing.
Yeah.
are you talking about the economic development section of the
Yes.
plan or the housing section of the
Both,
plan?
and they should
They should work
mirror
together.
each other.
Mhm.
And the housing section of the economic development plan in particular should say, here's what's not working in developing housing. It does mention high construction costs, which is a thing. I know Steve has been in places like Bridport where I have seen their places are struggling to figure out how to get housing done. We don't have enough money in the state. Our federal money is gone down the tubes, and we're in deep shit with this. We really are. Our rental subsidies are held up. It's not a good time. So we need to get momentum behind what the problem is and what we can do about it and be realistic about it. I'm sorry to go on and on. I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Can I speak to this, please?
That's Jean Montrose.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is Jean Montrose. I'm from Hope. And yes, the housing problem is a local issue. It is also a state issue. It is also a federal issue. And that is because the powers that be who control the money that trickles down from the federal government through the states to the municipalities has not been making housing a priority. We can build all the housing we want if we don't have the subsidies, which the state can't afford to fund, those come from federal money, then we can't afford to build or to operate the housing. But what this all comes down to is poverty. So does substance use, so does the trauma that prevents children from being able to learn in school. Maybe our poverty rate doesn't look so bad, but maybe a lot of our parents, and I know they are working 2 and 3 minimum wage jobs. They're not home to take care of their kids. Their kids are experiencing trauma. Their kids are not able to go to school and learn. People aren't earning enough money, and we're not helping them enough. So this is a really big picture here. And I have great respect for all of the different committees that have been trying to focus on these particular areas, but they are all ultimately extremely connected. And that includes substance use disorders, mental illness. Those are all products of poverty and trauma. We have people coming into our offices every single day who are homeless and they're in really rough shape. And it takes a long time to get them to connect and to trust us. And then when they do, there's no place for them to go. So this is a really big picture. Sorry to be so gloomy, but it's really complex, but it's also really simple.
So Jean, do you have suggestions or changes or things that you want us to, how do we
I want-
address your the comments you just made. I understood them. I'm not sure how I get our arms around them all in this plan.
Exactly. And so with economic development, it's rightly pointed out that a lot of our jobs are low wage jobs, and they're held by people from out of the country. They're held by women who are raising children. I think we need to do better. I think we really need to look at what are our strengths. I've always felt that our strength in Addison County is in our agriculture, but I don't mean big dairy. I mean, we need to do more to support the small farmers that are really the heart and soul of our agricultural economy here. And they tend to pay their people better. They struggle very badly, and I really think that we need to support them.
Not even on the list of occupations.
No, it's not, but it is, when we get to the end of the document, I think they've done a good job of talking about farms and talking about farms in general, not just dairy farms. I mean, again, and this is,
I was just looking at the numbers.
We also have a section on agriculture
So
and then
is it parsed out from this?
from economic development, so.
well, if they don't advertise for workers, that's,
You mean a section of the
Oh.
regional plan?
A section of the regional plan, that's what I mean.
Oh.
But the other answer is that in census data, agricultural workers are generally not included in the workforce. They have kind of a separate census. It's a sector, but they also have a separate area, separate census for agricultural workers.
And it probably doesn't include the student who spends an hour and a half milking before she comes to school. And it doesn't do anything after school because she goes home to milk the same cows
So that's-
again.
That's probably like less than 1% these days. So what it does probably add a lot to this are the mechanic and the people that are selling parts and the people that are driving around delivering tires. And I mean, agriculture today it's a mechanized process. And the people and the good paying jobs associated with agriculture are affiliated with the mechanics. And same thing's true with logging. And I just am amazed that we can sit here and talk about economics and you don't even see on the list any of the affiliated jobs. I mean, that may be just a result of the statistics. I'm just
I
kind of blown away
I'm
that
hoping
somewhere that doesn't come in, because when I interact with people that are making money in these fields, they're affiliated not directly with, picking apples. They're affiliated with fixing HVAC systems and fixing plumbing and fixing big machinery, and they're diesel mechanics and that's
Yeah.
what they're doing. And it's just strange here to look at and listen to people spend so much time talking about homelessness and the dire straits of what is ultimately a very small part of the population, when there really are some economic factors here that I don't feel that are represented in this.
Specifically, you want to see ag workers
Well,
in a
I just
chart
don't-
or?
I'm listening to what Gene was just saying, and that's a nice thought. But ultimately, what our agriculture looks like today is there's a very small population, 1% or less, that owns 90% of the land. And they process that land with machines. Now, the trickle down of that is that we got cheap milk, we got a few rich farmers, and we got a lot of middlemen that interact with those farms, maintaining the mechanized nature of that agricultural system. And that's where it seems like most of the job centers are centered around, whether it's selling trucks, selling equipment, maintaining that equipment, moving cows, you name it. But there's a lot of support industry. I mean, Harvey, you want to speak to that? I don't think, am I that far off from that?
Oh, I think you've got a good handle on it.
All right. I mean, I'm not,
When you talk about that, when I think about the economic part of it, back when I first started, a lot of the economy was right here in Addison County.
Yeah.
Very few banks actually finance these farms now from Addison County.
Right.
They're much bigger, economic drivers. Some of them are national, as well. But then when you drive down Exchange Street, you know, you see, Champlain Valley Equipment. You know, they're a pretty big player in ag machinery and on Route 7, you.
Bordeaux Brothers,
Here,
Phoenix
facility.
Feed.
Yep, in all those places, and so I'm wondering how we count those individuals that are employed in those places when you said you're gonna have a separate section for agriculture. We're intertwined with the rest of the economy. I mean, we've got Cabot, Agrimark Cabot there on Exchange Street, one of the largest economic drivers in the state, right here in our little community. And they, you know, employ probably a small fraction of the people that are here, but it's a pretty good workforce. But they are big economic drivers for the state when you start transporting all the milk from the different farms and running it through there. And then they become a national and international player in the marketplace.
Yeah, I'm not picking on this at all. Go ahead. I just am mostly shocked that we've heard from somebody who works with the homeless voicing she'd like to see more agriculture, and yet I'm just not, so far, I'm not seeing what my eyes tell me on a daily basis. And
That it isn't there?
No,
that it's
not
different,
homeless.
that it's
There's always gonna be homeless people. There's always gonna be people that suffer from addiction. But when we're talking about, this was the section that was started off talking about the economy, and our economy in Addison County, and I would extend that to Franklin County, has always been dominated by agriculture. It's one of the largest floodplain regions of the state, right? It's flat. It's nice. We got hill farms in the rest of the state, but they're relatively small. I mean, Franklin and Addison County, where the big ag is and always has been. And it's as the number of farms has dwindled and dwindled, as this reflects, the number of cows hasn't. So there's just means that it's becoming more and more concentrated and more reliant on large financing, because those equipment,
Which is even maybe out of the country.
it may be all kinds of places. It's just that it's so much like the rest of our economy, right? It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller in the hands of fewer and fewer, and it's mechanized. I don't care whether you're talking about our financial system or our ag system here but those drivers do have a trickle down that I'm just surprised reading this, that's not reflected somewhere, because I would think that, you know, being a diesel mechanic on one of these big, you know, at odd debts is paying pretty well these days. And running a truck is paying a halfway decent wage. And those are wages that are right here. And I don't know how to parse those out, or if maybe Adam, if those are in a separate section.
I can't answer your question off the top of my head.
But you know what I'm saying?
I'm sure those employees are counted somewhere, but I don't know exactly, you know, a diesel mechanic that works on farm equipment, I don't know exactly what sector they go in. I'd have to figure that out.
No, but you gotta think that that's a fairly large number.
I'm sure they're counted.
Yeah, I'm sure they're counted, and I think that they probably, I mean, like you pointed to before, is that those farms are owned by fewer and fewer people. And that a lot of the truckers, we're talking about truckers, they work for themselves. A lot of them do. And so they would be self-employed. And maybe some of the diesel workers, and a lot of those people who go through and sell things to farmers, they're either fronted by a bigger corporation, which means most of the money does go out of state, and most of those people don't even, I mean, in Addison County, we do have a lot of farms here, we have a lot of farmland, so there are plenty of people who live in this county who also service this county.
I just am curious how you capture that, that's all. How you capture that income.
I think it's captured, isn't it captured in the ag part?
What's
You know
that?
about those income tax reforms?
Yeah.
How does, I bet it's all in the income tax one, you know, because they probably ask you like your salaries and, I don't know.
Well, I would say that would vary from farm to farm.
Mhm.
You know, what categories were there, because, you know, some of the larger farms, you mentioned Audette Farms, and I was thinking of Fort Hills Farm. They are almost self-sufficient in what they do for equipment maintenance and profit needs and those kind of things, whereas 2 years ago, that was all supplied
So,
coming in. So now they're pretty much self-sufficient in what they do there. What their financing is, I have no idea, but it's certainly not from the National Bank of Middleburg. And I remember when I started, if you needed a piece of equipment or something, you know, you went down, got a loan at National Bank, and then when it started, banking kept growing bigger, and now it's national and international in scope. There's very little local banking that goes directly into agriculture.
In any event, I think the point is duly noted. Bears some more investigation, and I'd like to get to some other folks that are on screen. I know Stephen Pilcher's had his hand up for a while. Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you. Two quick things. Number one is, I'd point folks at the working landscape, working lands part on page 15. Talks quite a bit about agriculture and what it means to the state of Vermont. I wanted to push back a little bit on this concept that the housing problem is a local problem. The thought that the cost of housing has anything to do with Moncton's, I happen to live in and work in Moncton, has anything to do with Moncton zoning regs is ludicrous. The cost of land is not that much. It's nothing we're doing in Moncton is particularly prohibitive in driving up the cost of housing. What costs housing so much is the construction cost and the fact that you know, a lot of people see housing not as a place to live, but as an investment. And so it makes it reasonable for people to pay $500,000 for a house, which, you know, we all can look at and say, well, that's not affordable housing. That's not affordable for anybody in the middle class or anything below the middle class. So I just want to push back a little bit and say it's really not a local problem. It's not even a state problem. It's a federal problem to some extent, and it's the way we're set up. We have to solve the problem at a different level than just changing zoning regs and what have you. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Rich?
Yeah, we were last talking, I think, about page 9. I was just curious about where would educators come in on page 9? Personal care aides?
so these are occupations with the most active job ads. The first figure is that it's not all, it's where the jobs are. It's
Okay.
the type of people that are looking for jobs
So
there.
that's what's driving that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's job advertising.
Yeah, oh, it's job advertisements, yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I was
Thank you.
I was scratching my head. I was like, well, yeah, everybody's always looking for nurses. Like they're, okay,
And
that
then the
explains
next
a
figure
lot.
down is top job postings. So,
It didn't, sorry, I don't want to dwell.
But the question comes up for me, why is this chart about job postings in here and is more relevant than what the breakdown of the people working in our community is?
That's a good question.
So you'd like to see both.
Yes, I would.
I think we have done that in the past, and I think that is an effective way to look at things, because I think it's pretty interesting.
That's why I was like, not understanding the data.
Yeah,
here.
I
so,
mean, you know, in education, School Spring is where everybody posts.
mhm.
And so, yeah, you know, in Massachusetts, I can look up in Vermont and everywhere else, but it's not the mechanism for that electronic marketplace is not in Addison County.
Sure.
There's census data on what jobs there are.
Yeah, we can
And-
get
and-
that.
And that would be, it would include all those ag
And-
jobs you're talking about, I think.
We may have that in the indicators section, which will be on our webpage. So key data, yeah, we've got it, so. I'll make sure it's more visible. Current breakdown of jobs in the region is more visible.
Okay.
So, well, I had one more comment on this topic, which is that, you know, Adam, we had that joint intern from the college interns that did
Yep.
a study of the major employers in the county to
Mhm.
find out where their employees live.
Mhm.
And the data from that showed that a huge number of people do not live in Addison County who work in Addison County for the largest employers. So
Right, and
that
that,
goes back to the comments I was making earlier about the housing matching with the economic development productivity. I mean, if there are no places for people to live and they have to travel half an hour to an hour and a half to get to work, there's something in here that shows that, this commuting kind of thing.
right,
But it doesn't relate it to housing.
But they can live cheap in Crown Point.
I know it, but these,
Right.
what Jean was saying was these things are all interconnected, and I think this plan should say how they are interconnected.
Okay. But maybe we reached, you said you've written some comments, but how they're connected. I mean, I think that, is that something we can do, Adam?
I just wrote myself a note that said interconnect commuting patterns with housing.
I think you can say that they're connected. I think you're gonna be really challenged in showing all the ways of how they are connected. These are really complex issues that change from neighborhood to neighborhood, from town to town. And just to make blanket statements is where we start perpetuating these untrue statements about our county.
Yep. Yeah, and that's sort of what we're doing. This can only be so big. How many people want to read a 50-page document?
We're talking specifically about economic development. So what are the key factors in economic development, knowing that they're influenced by housing, they're influenced by health? But what are the key factors? You know, things like economic mobility, like wages, like workforce development. What are the key things? Now, all those things are going to continue to take us to housing stock, to substance use. But those are the things from an economic development standpoint that this document needs to be focusing on. And then there needs to be connections here to all the things that everybody, and everybody's talking about. Well, what about this? What about that? Yeah, how do we connect?
There are lots of things that are missing.
Yeah, because this isn't gonna be the comprehensive, it'll be that thick. What are the key things we need to do to continue to develop the economy?
Cheryl.
I have three little ones and they're non-controversial.
Wanna bet?
Okay, I'm gonna do just a speak. Under commuting patterns, when you talk about, folks,
Page of that.
oh, I'm sorry, 10.
Yep.
The first paragraph.
Yep.
About, people that come in, you know, from Mariah, who come in from other places.
Yeah.
And, as much as I am a climate change warrior, I'm thinking that those few cars, and we don't know how many are electric, coming in from other counties really add to climate change. I think that's a stretch. It's like a red flag that's gonna like annoy people, like, oh. So, but what is real is the wear and tear on our roads. So those are real, you know, the wear and tear, air pollution, you can call pollution or emissions. But climate change, I think that's a stretch, even for me, who's really in the trenches. And just a little, you got a typo under infrastructure on the next page, infrastructure. Inputs like an A for inhabit, economic, development, that's probably inhibit, be my guess. Okay, and then under broadband on 12, broadband and telecommunications, I think it'd be cool to shout out Maple Broadband because, that, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon, but that is probably why we've made great strides in Addison County, specifically due to Maple Broadband.
Yes, Maple Broadband's not the only
player in that, but certainly as a driver.
Absolutely, and I think of that, but I think that should be in there, our little local players. And that's,
And there are some shout outs in here, so that's probably something, you know, if that's,
Yeah.
that's it for me. I didn't hear any controversy on that one.
Do we have any hands up in the crowd?
heard of one.
I don't know. I can't see
No,
a ton of the crowd.
People.
Let's see. So I don't see anybody, with a hand up.
Right here.
Right here.
Excuse me,
Okay.
Herb.
Yeah, so, I think folks are saying all these things are kind of interconnected, right? And you gotta make sure that, you get them interconnected. I confess, I leapt to the actual plan, the goals and objectives and stuff, because I think that was where, putting words in your mouth, that's kind of where you try to interconnect these different things. And so that made a lot of sense to me, because you got housing, you got some housing objectives and goals and things like that. You have workforce issues and a bunch of other things that I wasn't as familiar with. But that's where I saw that interconnectedness happens, and I have some comments on some of that, but it just generally speaking, I think that's where that tries to take place.
Yep.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah, so
When we get to that.
when we get to that, you're gonna have lots of comments. Good, I like that, I love that. It's, yeah, good. Anybody else for this round on the? on the-
Perry has
what
his
we
hand up.
Got. Tom? Somebody?
Yeah, Tom Perry.
Yeah, I guess my question, getting back to sort of our population and general employment, and I was wondering if we have a sense anywhere in this report or generally of how much of the population is effectively taken care of by the market economy. Tim mentioned, diesel mechanics and people driving trucks and all that sort of thing, but I'm just wondering generally how much requires some kind of subsidization, either housing assistance or healthcare or SNAP or other programs. And I guess others that are just completely falling through the cracks and not thriving at all. Do we have these sorts of numbers, and do we know how they've changed over the years? And have any sense of, my sense is that the market economy sort of does what it does, and that it tends to be policymakers and government that has to sort of shore up the parts of society that are, not being served. And I worry a little bit that the market economy is going to sort of go off doing its own thing and serving fewer and fewer people and leaving the rest to some sort of subsidization. And so I'm curious if this economic development report addresses that issue.
Wow. Well, Adam, I don't know whether I can say anything to that or not, because I think it is a really complex issue, and
It is a complex issue. We tried to address some of it on page 4 in poverty to answer some of your questions. Disenfranchisement, I think we should probably call it, rather than societal ills. Disability, and health. I'll try and get to some of those issues, Tom, but I'm not sure we stated it as succinctly as you just did.
drop us a line.
So
I'm just, just following your thread there. I'm reading, I skipped to page 8 where it says employment by super sector.
yeah,
and by far the human services industry, including educational services and healthcare and social assistance, employs the most people. Right? Certainly doesn't pay them the most. That's sort of a no-brainer.
Depending on what your job is. A lot of people in healthcare are getting paid really good money.
Not to be?
No, we do.
Okay,
No, but I mean,
so
I want my doctor.
I just wanna know that, you know, whose ox is getting gored here. But the point is that, you know, Porter Hospital is pretty much managed by UVM. So, you know, you're gonna take that out of Addison County like that. There's gonna be people running Middlebury College, right? They're gonna get paid well. But I just think that the one thing is we kind of know, and I think it's really important to start off with that. But I'm really interested in knowing what's carrying the economy here. And maybe that's Four Hills and Audette Farm. My
No.
guess is no.
No, because I think most of that money does leave.
But I mean, I know for a fact that Middlebury College is a huge economic driver of
sure.
Addison County, right? If I had to pick, if somebody came to me and, yeah, exactly. If somebody blindfolded me and said, where's the money in Addison County? I'd start with Middlebury College and work out from there.
Okay.
Because it incorporates so many levels, but.
So I like Tom's question. It's a nice succinct way to deal with to address a big issue or a lot of big issues rather than getting, trying to explain every one of them. So I like that change, and you're going with Middlebury College as a big driver. What in here do you want me to change?
Only if we, because I know, I just don't see, I mean, we know that Middlebury College is just a big driver and Porter will be too. Outside of that, Collins comes up, which I think has shrunk
Right,
over the years.
And that's why I think these are based on numbers that Alex knows that they're based on actual numbers.
Okay.
So this is data points that were known. We aren't just making this stuff up.
No, I didn't, not at all. It was mostly that I'd just be interested, you know, if you look at a pie chart and say this, you know, relative to, these are where the highest paying jobs are. Here's Middlebury College, here's Porter, here's Collins, and then where are the rest of them falling? I'm just curious where that.
So somebody asked for basically a breakdown of current jobs in the region, and that's basically what you're asking for.
Exactly. That's all.
Got it.
Simple. And,
Got it.
and at some level, that's broken down by pay too. So you see, here's where the most, this says very clearly where the most jobs are. And then how does that appear in a pay scale?
All right.
Okay.
Right? Isn't, I mean.
I understand what you're asking, yes. That data may be harder to get, but I understand what you're asking.
Okay.
So
I just picked on Middlebury College, because if we said, you know, the president of Middlebury College is here relative to the rest of the population, maybe it's not. Maybe one of the Audettes is there. I have no idea who makes the most money in Addison County, making money here, not packing it in their trophy home. Just who has, what are the drivers? That's all. And that was just.
we need to keep moving.
Yeah.
We've got two more sections.
Tom put his question in the chat, I believe. So
Okay.
I think I already captured it. Thank you though, Tom.
Good.
I have one more thing. I came across a data point last week that floored me, which is that Vermont, the data I don't think is available by county, but Vermont is dead last in this country in the percentage of high school graduates and college graduates who remain in their state. Dead last.
That actually is something that I think was missing in here, and we probably, is there a way to, because I think that's part of the problem with the workforce development.
It is
It really
absolutely
addresses that.
Yeah.
And that's linked to college graduation.
College and high school graduation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's these demographic shifts, these charts with the age groups and everything. I mean, there's clearly an uptick in older people. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
How are y'all?
Yeah.
And younger people are leaving because they can't afford to live here. And then people who have businesses here who want younger people and schools who want their kids are hurting. So there's a dynamic that has a lot of moving pieces, and this report needs to say at the outset, it's complex, there are a lot of moving pieces, but here are the pieces that impact each other.
And that comes back to housing too, Anna.
Yeah.
And I know that's an issue with Job Corps, I mean, for Jens, is, one of the reasons why the Job Corps graduates don't stay in Vermont. A lot of times it's because there isn't the housing. There are jobs, they go through training, they go through like, different auto manufacturers up in Berlin, they go through, the process of learning everything, and then there's no place for them to actually live.
I concur on that. And from the employer side of things, it's the same thing. I hear so many people over in Montpelier, businesses come into, committees and things like that. And they try to expand, they make offers to people to come in from out of state. And they have to, the employee says, I can't find a house. And it hurts expansion, hurts economic development. Not necessarily just that, but it's a big deal.
And it's very complicated, so we want to make sure that there are things, and so I'm really glad for all the nuanced discussion that we've had here. So the second section is aspirational. This is where we can state what we want to become. I'm really interested in this section, and I'll just read the overview for everybody as we're in this next section. Addison County is regionally and nationally renowned as a model for a dynamic and diversified rural economy where local entrepreneurs leverage the area's unique access to natural resources to launch and grow small businesses that contribute to an unmatched quality of life for residents and an unforgettable experience for visitors. Okay, so maybe we should put the pillars up there. Would you put the two, oh, we don't have a 2-page spread, but we'll just put the 1 page of this pillars up. So, so we're going to look at the pillars of vision and the overview of the goals and objectives. Because I've been involved with this for a while from the beginning, I know that this was a good place to rectify some of the comments that we received from the SEDS document, which was completed a year ago or so. And if anybody really gets off on reading these kind of things, there's a 220-page document you can read that compares the 4 counties. And if you really want to see the personality of the counties come through, it's a good read. So it aggregates the counties thing, but in that it said that we weren't a very friendly place to do business. So, and that wasn't just one comment. So percentage wise, I guess I feel like that's important to say, which I think is, there may be 6-10 people who have read that document. And so now more people know what was in it. I also think, the feedback that we can get here today, on the pillars and the vision and the goals, the overview. So let's see how I'm not going to even read those off, but are these right? Are these the pillars that we want to have? Do we have a responsibility to adequately protect them? 3 out of the 5 pillars are about what we have created as the broader community, including the business community. 2 of the 5 are what is created by the business community. Are there things that are missing in this section? Our vision? Are there things that need to be corrected that are important aspects that hold up the society? That is something I would love to hear all of your feedback on. The other thing I want to say is that I think that in many ways, this document very carefully does not use any of the banned words in this administration. And I just want to make sure that people are aware of that. And is this okay? And is it safe or is it short-sighted as a policy document? It is a document that will last for 8 years. And when we are courting businesses and professionals to come to the area, this is the document that we offer people to learn about our community. So I think it relates back to what we have, but also what our pillars of vision are. Does this adequately reflect what we want to achieve?
Can I ask one question?
Mhm.
Why is it on page 19?
17 and 19, 17 to 18.
Like, why wouldn't it be?
What?
Why wouldn't the vision be moved? It seems like
Oh, it's,
it should come first and then all the existing stuff.
wait a minute, you want to do this editing here?
No,
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm
I'm
just a
sorry.
question. I just was thought I thought the vision statement read really well and I was like, well, that should be in the beginning.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, one can design something however they want it, but it's really about taking an inventory, assessing what we have, and then defining where we want to go, because they're
Okay.
two different
Okay,
things.
that's fine. That's
Yeah.
a perfectly reasonable answer. I was just like, you said, you've laid out what the statistics sort of are here, and then this is where we're gonna go.
I have a thought, and it's actually embedded in the number 4 there, quality of life. And I don't know if other people share this thought, but I think that one of the aspects of the life in Madison County is that, we have a lot of strong communities. And I think that's an asset both for doing business here and for working here. You know, I don't know. I'm not trying to wordsmith anything here, but it just seemed to be a factor that I think is important in distinguishing ourselves. That is attractive, you know, for staying here and working here and doing business here. And I don't have any particular suggestion other than to say that's what comes to mind when you ask, you know, is there anything else we empathize as around vision and what we do well and what we can encourage, that I would be.
Adam, did you?
Yes, I heard what Herb said,
Mhm.
but I didn't get an action for,
Maybe in number 4,
yeah,
maybe have something to the effect of, that we have a bunch of strong communities that are asset to the economy. I don't want to write it for you.
I know there's
Vital.
another place that talks about the vibrant downtowns, which really.
It is in number 4.
Yeah, and I guess I'm
Yeah,
thinking
right.
of coming from a bunch of.
No,
towns
it's
that
in
don't
number
have a whole
4.
lot of Downtown.
It is number 4.
The community
Yeah.
is still pretty strong,
Mhm.
and
Oh.
that's an important.
Tight-knit communities with bustling main streets.
Yeah.
Is in number 4.
So you'd like it stronger than that?
Well, I don't know. I don't have to push it anymore. It's just that there are a lot of communities that don't have bustling Main Street that are still have tight communities. And that's important, I think, for us going forward.
That we have them.
Yeah, those communities, even if they don't have a
Maintain.
bustling Main Street. And they probably never will.
So what I'm hearing is maintain communities.
Yeah, maintain that strong sense of community, because I think it's a real plus
Yeah, strong.
for our society and for our economy. But, you know, they're just, I'm speaking out loud, you know. Whatever.
I'm not sure how this would fit in here. Maybe it's quality of life, but one of the things that I think is a true, statement of quality here is, I'm gonna go back to my daughter and her partner. I've done a lot of research on kind of a thing. And one of the things that absolutely comes up when people are searching this kind of stuff is climate resiliency. So we are in this perfect little spot that we're not near the ocean, we're not near you know, an earthquake is gonna take us out, I know we've had floods, but overall, when you think of climate disasters that could happen, we're pretty stable right here and could actually, you know, like welcome climate refugees.
To
As
do research on killing ticks.
Yeah.
But that is something that is real when young people are searching for places to live. I know that actually comes up as, believe it or not, Addison County is one of the more stable, attractive, you know, we're not gonna die in a climate disaster here in Madison County.
Vermont is the top state in, having climate, having a positive impact on health
Yes.
rather than a negative impact on health.
That might be a nice,
Yeah.
right?
So how do we maintain that
Right.
and encourage the smart growth necessary to address some of these other things?
Well, we've attracted people because of our climate resiliency and maybe because they're interested in climate. So can we, Adam?
I'm writing down Vermont is the number one state, having, a positive impact on health.
And Adam, I'll get you the.
And climate
just by-
resiliency.
Okay, yeah, and I got climate resiliency already.
Yep.
So I am taking notes.
Do we have an unmatched quality of life in Edison County?
No.
Well, this is a vision statement.
It's a vision statement, but what's coming, and that's where I get confused, because it's a vision statement, and that's what we want. And then what it states afterwards is kind of like, here's where we're at.
That is true.
I think it's unmatched isn't aspiration. Would it be something more like a very, you know, sustainable quality of life or a different word other than unmatched? Unmatched doesn't feel like it would be a goal.
Sustainable, is that a word? I think that's.
How about high?
No, we don't want it to stay high.
The high quality of life?
A different word.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing, when I talk to my son, who lives in the Boston area and others, is small. Young professionals in the businesses, it's like, okay, the only place I could live would be in Chittenden County, in Vermont, you know.
Yeah.
And 50 years ago, there were places like Rutland and Springfield and other things when I first started coming that are no longer the robust things. What we do not have here is people leaving because there's nothing that there are no jobs around. There are jobs if you want it here, but the attracting college graduates who didn't go to UVM to stay here is a little bit of a challenge. I mean, Middlebury gets some benefit because Middlebury grads come back and retire here and other things like that. But, you know, if it were double, if Addison County had double the population, I think we would be, in some senses on the village centers bigger. And we have not grown since roughly 1970 or 80 there. Yeah, they have gone other places and, but we can get in and out of here with an airport and all that sort of stuff. So yes, it's a little piece of isolation for those who like to enjoy outdoors and good things there and clean air.
So, yes, we do enjoy those things. This word, are we stuck on the word still though? You didn't have a suggestion for the word. You said high, you don't.
I put healthy and sustainable.
Healthy and sustainable, good, okay. Thank you. How about online?
I do not see any hands up right. Oh, yes, Karina has her hand up. And if
Hey,
you're online, speak up, please.
Can you
So
guys
go
hear
ahead,
me?
Karina. Yes.
Okay, perfect. I was just gonna say, when I've done vision statements before, generally they're a bit shorter, which I think I'm kind of encompassing a lot of the comments I'm hearing, right? We have a lot of facts in here and we have like a few sentences on vision. I would encourage the group to look at like simplifying this down into very short, like punchy statements, and then keeping the facts in the prior section or however we want to organize it, so that you have the kind of facts that lay everything out, then you have the visions for the future. That's a little bit easier to digest because at least personally, I don't disagree with everything that's said here. It's just a lot. And I recognize this is kind of an 8-year vision and, you know, something to work towards, but it is very ambitious, which is not a bad thing, but it also kind of encompasses basically everything. So I'd be curious to think like, what are the things we actually want to focus on? Like the previous speaker said, I don't think doubling the population is necessarily the goal, but is that something that's a little bit more tangible that we actually want to think about to make this a little bit more actionable? Would be my feedback.
So do we want to write down it is our goal to bring X number of families? Is that?
Well,
That could
maybe
be,
we,
that's just an example, right?
But that would probably be in your goals and objectives.
Yeah.
which is a great segue, given the
Yes.
time.
Okay, are we ready? Yes, thank you.
Working for you.
All right, so I thought I was gonna read each one of these. I don't think that we need to read each goal statement. There's workforce development, there's business development. I think we've gotten down in the nitty gritty. I think there's a lot we can add to this. When I was tasked with chairing this committee and the process, I have to say that I'm really glad that I had a great working relationship with Adam on this. And he had a very clear request for me, that the final document had clear, actionable goals for Addison County Regional Planning Commission to do. Ones that make meaningful contributions to our community for the next 20 years. I found 12, I think we ended up with 13 of those. So I think if anybody has questions on which one of those they are or whatever, but I think any comments, because some of them are things that Addison County Economic Development Council works on, and some of the things are what Addison County Regional Planning works on. So that's just to be clear.
Yeah, so I thought it was very good, very comprehensive. One little tweak on one of the goals, in the housing, objective and the action steps there.
How about a page number or a goal
22.
number?
22.
Okay.
So,
Oh.
the Regional Planning Commission had, the staff actually got forth some data that I thought was pretty important around, taking a look at where, we have these housing targets, we really.
Okay.
We need to get more housing. And the way they broke it down in terms of expectations was, they were expecting 60% of the unmet, the target would come from, village centers, things like that. But then what struck me was 40% was gonna need to come from outside, the village centers and things like that, if I remember the data.
That's right.
And so I was just hoping that we could maybe tweak that number one there to reflect. Also need to, create housing opportunities outside, in some of the rural areas outside those village centers, things like that. It's 40% of what we need. At least, I think.
And I think the reason why it hasn't happened, I'm guessing, is because of Act 250, but which is why they're doing the Act 181, which is supposed to identify, and again, they've chosen the village centers. So I don't know how to address that, Adam.
I would probably add something like, ensure 181 future maximize opportunities for dwelling dense mixed income housing in close proximity to jobs and commercial centers and allows additional housing in all other areas of the county.
Yeah,
That's fine.
great. Thank you.
Encourages, not allows.
Let me think about that, Anna. I'm not sure I want to encourage it everywhere.
That's all about my thing about local. Whose hands is this really in?
But I'm also thinking about the forester who spoke to us at, at the annual meeting there, 15 short driveway game.
I changed it to supports.
Great.
There we go. Anybody online for this last section? I mean, what I would say at this point is that I know that it's really late and I appreciate all of your patience. I really appreciate all of your focus on this because it is so important. And we will have the comment button open till the 17th of November. So anybody, or if you know anybody else, a business owner, I mean, there are definitely some people that I think I would love to have people, as many people, there's no wrong answer here.
Well, thanks very much. It's good. You know, I think real good stuff. Thanks for coming. Explain it all to us. It's great.
So.
Okay,
That's
so
it.
I'm gonna stop sharing. All right, and we're gonna really work hard to abbreviate the rest of this business meeting so that,
Absolutely.
and thank you all.
One thing that I just thought of, have you hit the record button?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Adam, how can we, how can
Adam,
we
before
give,
we move on, can I just, and I promise I'll be quick, just given the conversation, I just want folks to know I made a point to listen tonight, which is why I've been mostly silent, but I just want to thank folks for the conversation tonight, and I think the discussion speaks for itself in terms of the complexity of this issue, but also the level of care and concern people have for economic development. So just want to say thank you, everybody, and thank you to Joy and Adam for taking on the responses to all of those questions. But again, just wanted to weigh in and say that I was taking notes as well, and I'm excited to incorporate a lot of the feedback tonight into the plan. And then the last thing I'll say is, again, really wanted to listen tonight and just hear feedback from folks, but would really encourage folks to reach out to me directly as well, both within the context of this plan and feedback, but also, after we're done with this plan. It's difficult for me to have the in-depth conversations that a lot of these questions really necessitate in a meeting like this, where we're kind of strapped for time. But I love talking about these issues, and there's a lot of context and a lot of, I think, helpful information that I can provide. And also just hearing all of this is very helpful. And I always do my best to make myself available to folks to have these more in-depth conversations. So, I'm always available via email. Love setting up meetings to, again, talk in more detail about these things. So please feel free to reach out. Adam, I don't know if you're able to share my email via the email list, but again, I would just encourage folks on any given topic that was brought up tonight to please reach out, and we can talk in more detail about any number of things. But again, just wanted to say thank you, and just want to folks to know that I was tuned in and listened, and really appreciate all the feedback. So thank you again.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Alex.
Alex.
So comments are open till the 17th. You can email them to me and I'll get them to Alex. You can email them to Alex directly. You can put them on our website, Addison County Regional Planning Commission's website. If you go to economic development, the draft of the economic development section of the plan is there. And there is also a kind of a comment form that you can fill out as many times as you want. Okay. Joy, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
appreciate
very
it.
much. Thank you,
That was
Joy.
fantastic. Thank you. Next item for your approval is the minutes. In your packet were the minutes for the full commission meeting of October 8th. I would entertain a motion to approve. Thank you, Tim. And thank you,
Second,
Steve. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye or giving a thumbs up, hand up.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Keep your
I
hands
wasn't
up
here.
for abstentions,
Yeah, me
please, for a minute, so Adam can capture those.
Cheryl. I have Harvey, Hugh, and Cheryl. Did I miss anybody?
Nick.
Somebody else.
Nick Costin.
Nick.
Jean.
Gene Montrose. Okay. Gene, do you have a question too or not? Nope. Okay.
Next in your packet were board minutes from the executive board meeting of October 22nd. They're there for your edification. If you have any questions or concerns, please address them to a member of the executive board or to Adam, and we'll get back to you. Moving on, treasurer's report, bank balances and receivables discussion regarding program progress. Sorry.
Okay, great. And I can tell you, let's see, our current bank balance as of November 12th in our main account is $169,000. We have receivables basically of $230,000 still to come in. So, in a decent place financially. And I guess I'd really like to point all of you to the discussion that we had in the, executive board last, at our last meeting. It's, well, you can see it online on the recording, or you can look at the treasurer's report. There's a succinct version of it there. But, you know, I would much rather be giving you, financial statements if I trusted the data, if I made sure, and I don't want to give it to you until I trust the data. At our executive board last meeting, we had, Sharon Stearns, who's an accountant that we are working that Rebecca's working with to, reconcile some of our books, and we found some errors in last year that we need to make sure we fix before I start giving you financial statements. But what we talked about was the process, right? You don't just, if your car has a defect, you don't just keep the assembly line running and turn it off, keep it going. You stop the assembly line, you fix the process, and then you turn out good cars. And that's where we're trying to go with your financial statements. I really appreciate all of you asking about them. I give you the bank balances and the receivables, so you know it's there. We don't have to worry. Nobody's screaming about payables. Everybody's paid. But I want to give you better data soon and appreciate the trust for right now. And I guess I'd invite anybody on the executive board to say anything about our discussion with Sharon and Rebecca last meeting.
I would say that we had a very lengthy discussion, and at the end, I think it was pretty much unanimous. The entire executive committee basically supported Adam's process that we try to get this figured out and then move forward accordingly. And you know, there is a recap in the e-board minutes, so take a look at that. Come back with questions if you want, but you know, we're supportive of this process and how it's moving forward. Anybody else?
And I'm not going to ask you for a vote on
exactly
what I've given you.
That's fine. Moving on to committee reports. Act 250.
No report.
Thank you, Steve. Energy.
Yes. We did meet, nope, from my memory. So, we met and, we're receiving the last comments for the review of the enhanced energy plan. Jolene was incorporating some that he got from the full commission, and we were giving our last looks on it today. Tom made some last, good comments on it. So those are wrapping up so that we're going to be done when we meet again next week. We had a good discussion of the regional energy fair and how we could kind of change and tweak some of that stuff for next time. And then we had a discussion of all of the different municipal enhanced energy plans or energy sections of municipal plans that are coming up in the next couple of months. And Jolene is working with several municipalities, I think 3 or 4 of the 7 that were awarded some grant money to work on our enhanced energy plans. And he had a priority for them. I think New Haven was coming up soon.
New Haven's first, Middlebury's second,
Yep.
Leicester is third.
Yep, and we were discussing the process around how the Energy Committee would look at those plans and then come back to the full commission and give our recommendation to approve those in a similar fashion to what the local government committee does when they look over the rest of the municipal plans. This would just be focusing on the energy pieces.
Thank you, Cheryl. Local government did not meet. Natural resources.
I know that committee's.
I met with Hannah. I think we were the only ones last week or the week before, but I think our draft for the plan is in-house now, Adam, right? And being edited and ready to go in.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Deborah. TAC. I would say I did not attend it, but TAC met. Mike provided the TAC with a presentation on highlights from the VLCT's town fair, hosted a roundtable discussion on communicating with select boards, and gave some regional project updates. Housing did not meet. Economic development, well, we kind of had that already.
I think you know what we've been doing. And you've been doing.
Thank you. Joint partners, delegate, staff recognition.
Alex, do you have anything that you would like to say?
I think he dropped.
He might have dropped off. Okay. I will just tell you, staff has been really working hard on getting this full regional plan together, and thank you all for your participation on all of the committees that you do. So thank you, and your comments tonight.
Moving on to old business. First up, Maple Broadband. Steve Huffaker.
Hi there. Getting kind of late here, so I'll try to keep this real short. Maple Broadband has, as of last Thursday, 638 subscribers and still growing. This season, we have continued to do construction with funds that remain from the American Rescue Plan. And we've been building out in Orwell, Shoreham, Cornwall, and Virgin. So we're doing some work there, but it's not in the presence of significant funds that we are hoping to receive as a result of our announcement that we are probably going to be awarded a BEAD grant, which will translate into about 13 or $14 million worth of construction for us. So we're very hopeful for that. Lots of steps that we have to go through before we are formally granted those funds, including things like environmental permitting and things like that. But we're taking it one step at a time and being optimistic about our outcome. I think we might well find that we won't have some, unmitigated good news until the middle of next year, just because of all the steps that we're working our way through. And then finally, I think I'd given you a brief report on the work we were doing up on Old Town Road. Just as a quick reminder, Green Mountain Power has been working across the state to move their critical infrastructure wherever possible underground, get it off the poles and get it underground. It makes the power network far more resilient. So they finally got around to doing the same kind of work up on Old Town Road, which is a road that runs parallel to 125 on the way up to Ripton. And they commenced construction. Green Mountain Power did necessary permitting. Took them years to get the permitting in place. They finally got the permit to do the work. That permit came from the USDA. They began the work in, I think it was like mid-September. 5 weeks of construction occurred until which point they ended the western section of Old Town Road. The western and eastern sections of Old Town Road are divided by a chasm where a stream washed out the culvert, and it's about a 50 feet by 25-foot chasm. It's impassable by vehicles. So what has to happen is, once the west section gets done with the buried work, which it is done, then the construction gear, the excavators and trenchers, they have to leave the Old Town Road and go up to the other end to start at the east end of the road. Why that is relevant is because every time construction vehicles enter the Green Mountain National Forest, they need to be closely inspected for traces of invasive species. And so that worked out just fine when we started the work back in mid-September, but once we got around to wanting to enter the road once again, we were stuck with no action because of the government shutdown and the fact that the inspector that looks at the gear is part of the shutdown. And so as a result, everything is ground to a halt. And I think we're kind of share a fear that it's late enough in the season that we may not be finishing the other half of that construction until the spring. I'm afraid the freezing ground is gonna get ahead of us and we're not gonna be able to do the balance of the work, but even though you don't hear much about Maple Broadband this year, we are still busy doing a lot of work in preparation for what we hope will be a very productive 2026. Thank you.
Thank you,
Preston.
Steve. Looks like you might be. I was just saying, thanks. You looked like you were frozen. The only other thing that I would add is that last night we had, Maple Broadband had the state mandated, public hearing on the proposed budget for the next fiscal year and for the annual report. And if anybody has any questions, moving on to regional plan update, overall plan.
Okay, so I put a relatively detailed kind of timeline in the newsletter, so you can read it there. I'm hoping to get you the entire regional plan, a draft of the entire regional plan, for next meeting. So we'll have a lot of things to look at. I'll get it to you a week before the meeting. I hope. Like I say, we're all working hard. It could slip to January, but I hope not. I'm looking to get it in December and then get your comments. Get your comments into the LURB. It's still a draft. It will remain a draft. Basically, we'll get LURB comments. LURB is Land Use Review Board. We'll address those. We'll go out to public hearing. So we'll have 2 public hearings in the spring. At our Regional Planning Commission meetings, you'll have the opportunity to comment on anything that you want at either of those as well. And then I will look for a vote, I hope in June or July of next year. So that's where we're headed right now. It's crunch time for us to get all your good comments in and do our best to have all the sections of the plan basically reflect the region. So thank you for your help and comments.
Available to look at, or should we wait until you're all done and then you get it to us to take a look at it?
So I'll get it to you about a week before the meeting. So you all have an opportunity to. Right now, it's basically all done, but I had different staff members write different sections and it's still in Word and we've got to add graphs and we've got to add sites and kind of polish it up. And I get too many comments before we polish it. So, okay.
Thank you. MRP update.
So MRP is Municipal Energy Retrofit Program. Resilience. Really?
It's typed right here,
Oh,
but it's not.
Municipal Energy Resilience.
Is like something that keeps coming back around, but it's really resilience.
It is resilience. Thank you. So this is really just an update. 10 communities got MRP Energy Resilience Program grants. You can see them listed. Well, you can't actually. Everybody in the room can. But they are Bridport, Bristol, Ferrisburgh, Goshen, Leicester, Orwell, Ripton, Storksboro, Vergennes, Whiting. Basically, each of these towns got between, I'm going to say, a low of $163,000 and a high of $484,000 for the little town of Whiting. What this is largely, well, it's weatherization work. It could be HVAC work. It could be ventilation. It could be thermostats. It could be boilers. It could be insulation. It's a lot of different things to basically a number of different buildings within your communities. So, for example, in Bridport, they are doing the highway garage, and I thought they were doing one other. They are the town offices in Bridport. Bristol's doing Holly Hall. Ferrisburgh's doing its town hall and office and its fire station, etc. So just a lot of good work there. All of them are through their historic preservation review. Most of them, where they've needed it, have done basically renewable materials survey. So we used our brownfields program to go through all the buildings and make sure that there wasn't lead paint or asbestos or things of that, because these are all pretty old buildings. Most of them have done really well. For the ones that had something, we've created a, this is how your contractor needs to remove it and dispose of it plan. They need to be done with implementing this by December of 2026. Most are really just starting that process in this current, in October. A lot of them have gotten started spending their money, and those of us in the room have an outline of it. I think I'll post it on the website under the Brownfields or under the energy program.
Thank you. Moving on, Bond Bank Water Systems update.
And this Bond Bank Water Systems update is just another real quick update. This is a contract that we got this year. It started in July. Addison County Regional Planning Commission is the project lead on this. So it's for all of the RPCs around the state. In total, it's a $500,000 project, or $500,000 project split between all of the RPCs over a couple of years. It's from the bond bank. It's to help small municipal water systems, so water systems under 10,000, and it's your municipal systems, your fire districts, not necessarily your schools or other small public water systems. And it's for things like accounting, administrative systems, capital budgeting, grant writing, things that we can help them with. So we've just started that. We have a meeting with Tri-Town on the 18th. So there are 6 of them in Addison County.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other old business? Oh, Tom, you have your hand up.
Just a question on the bond bank water system. Is that something that can be developed for improving housing opportunities in towns that don't have infrastructure?
No, it's to help existing small community or municipal water systems. And so we specifically have to work with it. And the bond bank basically did it because I think they've got a number of small, either fire districts or municipal systems that have, small volunteer boards that don't always do the best job keeping their books, but are looking for money from the bond bank for improving their infrastructure. And the bond bank saw a need to get their house in order, so enlisted the regional planning commissions to try and get statewide coverage and help. There will be opportunities for more money under the program, so I think it's a good program. It's absolutely tied to, right, if we can make sure that our municipal water systems are performing well, then yes, it's absolutely tied to the infrastructure for housing.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the Aqueduct Society in Starksboro is a private system and doesn't qualify.
Any other?
Is that what they call it? The Aqueduct Society?
The Starksboro Aqueduct Society. It's a co-op. You're right. It's not a municipality.
Making big bucks here.
Any other new business? Any member concerns or information that anybody would like to share?
I have a comment.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Joe Andriano from Orwell. So a year ago, I was talking to all of you about the fact that Buxton's had closed, and what that did, to our town and the hole that left. And just really excited to say that Orwell's awarded a Village Trust Initiative grant. Was announced a couple days ago to help us try to acquire the building, rehabilitate it, restore it and its historical aspects. And then basically put out the store to bid for someone to lease it and to open it with a general store. And our plan is to have a process where we will be talking to people in town to try to put together some criteria for that request for proposals that will ultimately put out for the proprietor. So we're really excited. There'll be an article in the Addison Independent tomorrow about this. Just wanted to update people that it is continuing on, and we had a major milestone that maybe this will actually work now. So thanks.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good.
Anybody else? Hearing none, I will adjourn the meeting by unanimous consent at 8:45 PM. Thank you for your participation, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.